G'day everyone. For our last lightning talk for Summit this year, we have Mikael Sandberg from FUJIFILM to talk to us about takeaways from migrating to Git and Bitbucket Server. Please welcome Mikael to the stage.
Thank you. Okay, so let's see. I wash my hands of Git. It's too hard to learn. I don't want to learn a new tool. I want to go back to using ClearCase. That's what one of my developer told me about a week after we started using Git in his team. Change is natural and good, but people's reaction to change is unpredictable and irrational. The fear of change stems from the fear of the unknown or a fear of loss. A person's reaction to change depends on if he perceives the change to be good or bad, or if it's, and depending on what kind of impact it's going to have on that person. Admittedly, some people come with a basic distrust of any change and will work frantically to try and preserve the way things used to be around here. So in this talk, I'm going to talk a little bit about why we decided to migrate to Git and Bitbucket, how we did it, and what we learned from doing that. I'm Mikael Sandberg. Been with SonoSite for about 3 years now. I used the Atlassian toolset since 2009 and the Rational toolset since 2000. You might think that we're just a camera company, but that's just part of what we do, films and cameras. SonoSite is a world leader in point-of-care ultrasound, and we are part of FUJIFILM's healthcare portfolio. We have about 860 employees worldwide, and software engineering has about 70 developers across 7 teams, and we're all located just north of Seattle, Washington. So why did we decide to migrate? Well, before we go into that, let me give you some background on what our environment looked like. Some of our users were using Jira for task management. All our issue management was handled in Rational Change. And our code base, which was about 20,000 files, 5 million lines of code, were in ClearCase, and we were using Gmail for code reviews. So migrating over to Bitbucket was sort of a natural way of doing it because we weren't using Jira. We picked Git because it was faster and it encouraged creativity among the developers. So we had 4 major factors why we wanted to migrate. The first one was the tool integration. Because of the integration, we were able to track changes to our code changes, which we were not able to do in our own environment. The second factor was speed. I don't know if you guys used Rational ClearCase before, but it's not known to be fast. Some are, depending on what our developers were doing, and they can spend 5 to 15 minutes just update their workspace, depending on just updating to the latest code, or if they wanted to change versions between our code bases. The third factor was pull requests. As I mentioned before, we were using Gmail for our code reviews, and on top of that, we had a script that went through those mails to get the information out so we can have that for our build reports. The problem with that is that sometimes the developer forget to add files that they changed for that change they did, or they misspelled the branch they were merging from or merging to, or they simply just merged it to the wrong branch. So the information we got out from the script was sort of flawed. We couldn't rely on that. The fourth factor was that we had external teams that delivered code to us via either FTP, file share, emails, and then was checked in locally by one of our team members. And the reason was that setting up remote servers on their site was not cost effective. So how did we went about this? About 2 years ago, we started talking to our team leads, our 7 team leads, because at that time we were starting to plan for a new product that we started to develop. So we said that this is a good time to do the migration, start fresh with Git and Bitbucket. So we sat down, talked about what should be migrate. Some teams are already started to rearrange their architecture for the software. And we were also looking into breaking out our or platform-dependent code from our non-platform dependent code, so we can share that code with other platforms. So the first team that started off as sort of a pilot team was actually our hardware team, because they start their development a lot sooner than what the software team does. Took about 2 months of planning, and mainly is to figure out the structure that they wanted to have in Git and what they should bring over from ClearCase. After 2 weeks, they were sort of self-sufficient in Git once they started. Other teams followed, and when we sort of onboarded them into Git, we did training. Some teams also wanted to do sort of train the trainers, so they had an expert in their team instead of coming directly to me. And part of the training, we also relied on Confluence. So every question I got, every troubleshooting I got, went into Confluence. So I could point that to the developer when he came and asked me, well, did he look in Confluence? See if there's anything in there first. So that helped a lot. So some key takeaways. Are we there yet? Short answer is no. We still have some ways to go. We're sort of almost there with the migration of code. We just had some minor code that's never been touched for a long time that we may migrate over. But we also have a lot of improvements that we need to do to our development process in order to accommodate these new tools. So it's not just a new tool that we introduce, and we're sort of trying to change the development process as well. So the first takeaway should be pretty clear. We need to have a plan. It makes everything so much easier. Second is we decided to start fresh. We wanted to leave the old behind. We found it easier. Instead of spending a couple of months trying to do a script, I went through the ClearCase version 3, trying to figure that out and get the information back into Git. So instead, we said, well, we're going to keep ClearCase around, keep 1 or 2 licenses around, and use that as just a read-only repository. The last one is you need to be patient. You're always going to have at least one developer that's going to say, no, I don't want to do this. So it's just give them time, provide them training, hold their hands, babysit them when they're doing stuff in Git and Bitbucket, and hopefully they will come around and see that and this change will make their life easier. But you never know. So thank you all for attending.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael. That's it for our lightning talks. There's a 20-minute break, and then we're going to have our last session for the day, and I think Michael will be around for questions if you'd like to ask any. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.